All right, today we're going to be looking at Mr. Beast's birth chart, doing a nice little astrological analysis. First, using the astrology to see the path of his soul, his spiritual evolution he's meant to undergo in this incarnation. Then, we're going to look at the psychological blocks that are holding him back from moving along that spiritual evolution. And then finally, Alchemy, which is the transformational process I would recommend to him if he were one of my clients. So let's get into it. Starting off, we always start off with Rahu Ketu, South Node, North Node. So South Node, we don't know what house it's in, so disregard the numbers. We know what signs, and that's what's most important anyway. So Ketu is in Pisces, Rahu, North Node, is in Virgo. So this is the path of his consciousness as he evolves through this incarnation, the hero's journey, which is the South Node Rahu axis. South Node is based off of our past life karma, our past life incarnations. It's where he is most developed. Pisces with Jupiter. What's Jupiter? Jupiter is big, abundance, wealth, money, joy, creativity, progeny, even wisdom in the guru. Pisces also expansive, transcendent, abundance, but also can be expenses, letting go, surrender. Mr. Beast likes doing it big. He's focused on being the biggest, being the most expansive, having a lot of money, and spending it. This is all Pisces, Jupiter things, because the South Node, wherever the South Node is, we are pathological. So he's pathologically relying on Jupiter, Pisces things. He also has the Lord of Ketu, the South Node, with it. Jupiter is the Lord of Pisces. When that happens, somebody is less likely to move towards their Rahu. They're going to be more stuck in the Ketu South Node sign because it's with its own Lord. The North Node is empty. So he's going to have trouble getting out of his Ketu comfort zone because that's what the South Node is. It's the Ketu comfort zone, our spiritual karmic comfort zone, where he has spent the most time in Pisces with Jupiter stuff. He over-relies, pathologically over-relies on that area of his chart. But what he needs to do is move towards Virgo with the North Node Rahu there. What is Virgo? Virgo is all about refinement, purity, detail, management, organization. So to put it bluntly, Mr. Beast, which should be a surprise to no one, is all about bigness, abundance, expansiveness, and worried less about the fine details, the meticulous parts of things that make things run smoothly. That is what Virgo signifies. It also signifies purity, right? So Mr. Beast in this incarnation is meant to become more refined, become more organized, and detail-oriented in this incarnation. Again, it's going to be hard for him. He's naturally going to want to be a big picture guy, overseeing the bigger, expansive parts of his business and leaving the refinement, leaving the details to people beneath him, which is normal of a CEO, but at the same time, managing his business as it continues to grow and grow to a cancerous degree will be more and more difficult, causing him more and more stress and more problems. So it is important that he moves towards that Virgo part of his chart, towards that North Node, because that is the journey he's meant to undertake. Now, what is the biggest blocks that are stopping him from moving towards Virgo, psychologically speaking, based off of the astrology? Obsession. Now, again, you probably don't need me to say this. We can just look at him and the way that he moves and the way that he speaks and presents himself, that there is an obsessive energy to it. But where does it show up in the astrology? Well, it shows up in this area of the chart. So the closest planet to Rahu, because Rahu North Node has an orb, it's like a 30 degree on either side. So I guess 60 degree wingspan where it usually affects the planets in it. And it also is always going to affect the closest planet to it the most. When you have a Rahu moon, it's not a conjunction, but influence, right? There's a joining of the energies because moon is the closest planet to Rahu. We have somebody with an obsessive personality. So North Node, Moon conjunction, or like Mr. Beast, close together, if you know anybody like that, or you yourself have it, You will notice that you have a certain idiosyncrasy to you or an oddity to you. It's going to be easier for you to feel different from everyone else. There's going to be kind of a black sheep energy, but also an obsessive energy. You're going to want things and you want them. You don't want to inhibit yourself. So Rahu is a very hungry part of our chart. It's a very hungry graha, planetary influence. And with the moon, which is all about getting our emotional needs met, you're going to have very intense and deep and pathological, to a certain degree, emotional needs that you're constantly feeding that hungry ghost, but you never feel full. And so that's what Mr. Beast is doing. That is coming through views. You know, the moon is in Libra, so that's all about exchange. It's also the sign of business and, you know, making deals, also a social sign. So it can also be related to, you know, social currency or validation. So Mr. Beast is very obsessed with Libra things, with constantly exchanging, constantly getting more and more value, but also just having a pathological mind in general because of that moon Rahu influence. Intimacy is the next psychological block. Mr. Beast definitely has intimacy issues because you have Saturn, which is always going to starve, negatively influence the planets it's with in the same sign, with Venus, also with Mercury. Mercury and Venus are the two most social signs. They are the signs of Mercury, the significations of Mercury, which is communication, friendship, right? And interacting, trade, experimentation, but especially with the external world, it's a very externally focused planet. And then Venus, which is all about relationships, all about interacting with other human beings, and also getting our material fulfillment from the world, but also most importantly, people. So when you have Saturn with those two planets, starving it, depriving those planets of its energy, vitality, and abilities, capacities, he's gonna have intimacy issues. He's gonna have problems connecting with human beings, being able to operate harmoniously with other people, okay? So Venus is also about win-win. So Mr. Beast is gonna have problems with the win-win situations, being on equal footing with other people, going in deeper because he's power hungry. He has a power issue. Why I say this? You have Saturn debilitated in Aries, and it's also starved by Mars. And then it's, you know, because Mars is the lord of Aries. So Saturn is starved in Aries, in the sign, and starving these two planets while it's debilitated. So this all kind of comes together to being a person who wants to be status, a person of status, I mean. Okay, whenever Saturn's in Aries, you're gonna have a person that has problems being of service, because Saturn is all about service, but it's debilitated, right? He doesn't want to be of service. He wants to have servants. He wants to be on top. Sometimes you do have the opposite. You know, it's always about the extremes. So somebody who is constantly subservient to other people, but in a pathological, overly submissive way. Or you have the overly dominant who wants other people to submit energy person, which is Mr. Beast. He wants other people to submit. He wants to be on top. He feels that he cannot allow himself to be in equal footing because it feels so uncomfortable for him. So what do we do with this? If he was my client, this is what I'd recommend. So transmutation. So when you have somebody that is obsessive, right, for Mr. Beast because of this moon Rahu influence, it's best to learn how to feel those desires, feel that hunger, and learn how to direct it towards something more fruitful and beneficial. Because he's obsessed with getting validation. He's obsessed with material success and material abundance, right? Because of that Ketu. He wants to do big things. He has to be bigger, better, the best, right? Skipping over the details at times, which can lead to disaster and controversies. But with him, you got to learn how to transmute your energy. All about transmutation. And he also has Chiron, the wounded healer in Scorpio. Scorpio is also about transformation. It's about alchemy, about shadow work as well. It's a shadow work sign. I'm a Scorpio. That's why I do this. He has Chiron there. the wounded healer. So he has wounds with his intimacy. It's part of the reason, why he has intimacy issues, not only because of the Venus, but also because of the Chiron, which I forgot to mention earlier. But it's all about inhibiting himself, learning how to strengthen his won't power. There's willpower, which is Aries, and then there's won't power, which is Scorpio. Being able to tell himself no, not overindulging in his desires. I'm sure he's somebody behind the scenes that has some sort of pathological addiction. Hoarding money is a certain type of addiction, right? We don't think of it as hoarding or a mental illness, but when you hoard money, resources for your own use, own power, that is pathological. But I feel like there's even something deeper and darker that we don't know about. I can't say for sure. This is just speculation based off the astrology. Don't shoot the messenger. But learning how to transmute that energy, usually through inner work. Inner father. So this is just something I know about him, is that his father was not in the picture. Also, Venus is one part of the father. The sun and Venus can represent the father. It depends. Since Venus is in a sign with more planets, it's going to signify the father more. Also, I know for a fact that the father wasn't around. So Venus will signify the father because it signifies the DNA, the genetic code that was passed down to Mr. Beast. But him not being there is leading to this desire to be the biggest, the best, materially successful, and this power figure. So when he goes inside of himself, heals the relationship he has with his inner father. Doesn't matter what his outer father, his three-dimensional real father, is doing. It's the internalized father that wasn't there, but still left a mark. Finally, power demon. So what's most likely happening is he has this power demon, which, all inner demons are just defense mechanisms, pathological, dysfunctional defense mechanisms that are protecting a wounded part. So the wound left by his inner father is most likely being protected by his inner demon, and it would be best to transform this power demon that is constantly wanting more and more. It could be also linked to the obsession as well. So going inside of himself, doing the inner work, inquiring, I would guide him to connect with that power demon, figure out what it actually needs, not the pathological needs, right? But the real true core needs that he didn't get, most likely from his father, and also the environment, because he was socially awkward, his words, and also not the best student and didn't grow up affluent. I think he actually was poor. So there's wounds there. There's compensatory mechanisms happening now that he's an adult and so successful. And so it's just all about balancing it. Doesn't make him a bad person. Doesn't make him a great person. We all have our wounds. We all have our own insecurities, and we do our best to compensate for them the best we possibly can. And Mr. Beast is no different because he's a human being. So working with those three parts of himself would be amazing. Love to hear you guys' opinions, your own analysis. Also, a like and a subscription would be amazing as well. Thank you.